お前、ゲームとはいえ勝負は勝負。このような負け方は騎士の治れ。これでは終われません。もう一度戦いましょう、白。
Salut, it's your boy Asian Psycho, aka Sniper 98. I hope your summer gacha pulls were a lot better than mine, cause mine were Artoria, not Altria. Pendragon is a 5-star saber who's been in the game ever since launch, and is considered one of the worst SSRs in the game, but is still a pretty good farmer, which makes sense given the fact that she's always fucking eating something. Wait, what? This is the summer version of her? Oh yeah. Right, this is a Saba who doesn't suck dick. Sorry, my bad. So I guess in an effort to make Artoria top tier, but not really, DW turned her into a 5-star archer who debuted with the 2018 summer event for NAFGO as part of the second round of Summer Servants, where she's the featured 5-star among them. Little did the devs know that she turned out to be an arts DPS and sustain archer with the ever-infamous ability to MP loop her enemies into fucking oblivion, and go from the bottom of the tier list to the top in terms of archers, all because she got the genius fucking idea of shoving Excalibur down the muzzle of her super soaker and fucking stab someone in the eye with it. Or maybe they did, I don't know, it's kinda hard to tell with DW sometimes. At level 90, Squirtle has 14,553 HP and 11,276 attack, and at level 100 she's got 15,943 HP and 12,343 attack. She's got the usual Archer class star gen and star weight, a 0.59% MP charge on attack, 3% on defense, a 25.8% death rate, and she's lawful stupid. Lawful good. She's got a 2Q2A deck with an Arts NP. Her quick card hits 4 times, her Arts cards hit 3 times, her Buster card hits 3 times, and her extra attack hits 5 times. This means that her MP generation overall is quite good, despite her rather low stat for it, and with the 2 quick cards and her good hit counts, she can also produce a handful of stars herself. And for those of you playing JPFGO right now, she can go be BFFs with her fellow Saberface Archer Jean for that sweet, sweet 40% double attack buff. But this is NA, not JP, so while the entire FGO subreddit rolls around in their salt that we won't see Archer Jean for another 2 years, let's get into what's just as sweet in the meantime, Saber Archer's skills. Super Soaker's first skill is Summer Splash A+, which increases her own arts performance by 20 to 30% and increases party defense by 10 to 20%, both for 3 turns on an 8 to 6 turn cooldown. Any good arts meme should have their own arts buff, and for Seiba specifically, it's a big part of the reason why she's able to MP loop, since she doesn't have to rely on support teammates to give her arts buffs or MP generation skills. In fact, she's her own support for MP looping, and this skill, to be redundant, is a big contributor to it, as you've probably seen from all those fucking videos with Archeria solos. Speaking of solos, I called Saber Archer a sustain archer, and I hope I'm using the term sustain right here, and this skill is also part of the reason why. That defense buff that she gives herself, while it's only 20%, still goes a long way to help keep her alive, especially when you are soloing with her. And it's even better when she's in a team, since it is a party defense buff, and since you typically build teams around her, the fact that she gives her support teammates a defense buff also goes a long way towards keeping them alive even longer, so that they can continue to keep supporting her. A really great and versatile skill overall, probably her best skill, and the one you'll want to level first. Her second skill is Protection of the Beach House EX, which recovers her HP from 2,000 to 5,000 at the cost of 10% MP gauge on a 6 to 4 turn cooldown. In case this skill sounds familiar, this is the exact same skill that Sabershiki's got, just with a different name because DW thought they could get away with being lazy with skills. But that's okay, because in this case it works really well on Squirty, arguably even more so than it does on Sabershiki for the main reason that Squirtle is meant to be an arts DPS. And Sabershiki, not so much, so keeping Squirtle alive longer to do more damage is comparatively more impactful. This also ties in with the whole sustain roll that we were just talking about with the previous skill. A 5k heal on a 4-turn cooldown, along with the 20% defense buff that she gives herself, is actually ridiculous. And it's a huge chunk of Saber's HP pool, no pun intended because even MHX has a bigger rack than her. Small boob jokes aside though, this makes her incredibly tanky, and if you're counterclassing with her, it's next to impossible to even put her down under normal circumstances. Don't forget that you can still use this skill even when you don't actually have 10% MP gauge to spare on her, just like with Sabershiki. Her third skill is Beach Flower B, which increases party attack by 8 to 18% and increases all male teammates' star gen by 18 to 38%, both for 3 turns on a 7 to 5 turn cooldown. Basically her charisma skill as a saber, but since it's Beach Flower, it's also got the male star gen buff as a second effect. The rationale behind this skill is the same as it is with Tamalancer's own Beach Flower skill, even if Saber's version of it is a bit weaker due to its rank. But honestly, the star gen buff doesn't really matter in this case, cause Saber's main source of damage, hell, your entire team's main source of damage, isn't crits, but instead her NP because of how many frickin' times you can get it off. Makes sense, honestly, seeing that she's easy to please as long as you keep shoving food down her throat.
Innuendo.
Rather, this skill's more important because it means that Squirtle's got 2 different attack buffs of her own. And while it's no mana burst, the multiplicated stacking of the arts and the attack buffs really bumps up her damage quite a bit, especially on her NP. So level her arts buff first and foremost, then either her heal second if you plan on doing solos with her, or her charisma if you're sticking her in more conventional arts teams where she'll have more support to rely on. Her passive skills are Magic Resist A, which increases her own debuff resist by 20%, Independent Action A, which increases her crit damage by 10%, and, of all things, Territory Creation A, which increases her arts performance by 10%, which is also another reason why she's able to MP loop the fuck out of people, even if it is only 10%. Pumph Girl's NP is Excalibur Vivian, which is an arts single target NP that deals 900 to 1500% damage depending on MP level, has a flat 70% chance to reduce the target's MP gauge by 1, and refunds her MP gauge from 20 to 40% depending on overcharge level. Archeria keeps the same overcharge effect as when she's a saber, but it's way more effective here than it is as when she's a saber, for reasons that should be quite obvious, but in case you like to be spoon-fed, which is part of the reason why you're even watching these kinds of videos in the first place, let's talk about why. The reason's really simple. This MP has a double refund mechanic. I've explained what the term refund means in the context of this game, but in case you didn't pay attention, or if you just didn't watch out of the video where I talked about it, a refund refers to the amount of MP gauge that you get back from using your NP. So that means that Buster MPs don't give you any because it's a Buster, unless you're Saber or Morty, and that's your overcharge effect, and Quick MPs do give you some, but usually not as much as Arts MPs. If you know the basics of command card types, which should be all of you, otherwise what the hell are you even doing watching this video, this should be intuitive. Because Squirrel's MP is an Arts type, it already refunds her a good bit. Not only that, but her MP also has a 10 hit count. In FGO, hit count is really important because things like Star Gen and MP Gen are tied to hit counts. The more hits a command card or an MP has, generally speaking, the better. This is the reason why Jack, for example, is such a top tier Star Gen, because she's got fucking 5 hits on her quicks. So you're already gaining a ton of refund back because of the MP's card type, but then you add the overcharge effect of refunding you even more MP gauge, and together you're looking at about a 39% MP refund at just overcharge level 1, and that's without her arts buff active, and if it were, it'd be about 44% with a level 9 arts buff. So combine this with an arts brave chain, and suddenly it becomes clear just how Squirtle's able to MP loop over and over. Also, keep in mind that her arts buff isn't for 1 turn, but for 3 turns. So if you're soloing with her, the moment you build Squirtle's MP the first time, you pop her arts buff and her charisma, and then you're looking at max MP damage and arts brave chains back to back to back to back until her arts buff wears off. Confirmed Saber is a low-key CSGO player with all those headshots she gets.
Boom! Headshot!
And as if spamming her MP weren't enough already, Genderbent Shroud has a 70% chance to MP drain, which makes soloing with her even more viable than it already is. Normally, an effect like this is nice, but not reliable since, you know, it's only 70%. But since you're spamming your MP like 4 times in a row or something, you got a pretty good chance with 70% that 1 or 2 of those MPs are going to proc their MP drains. And if you do get lucky enough to get the drain all 4 times or something, congratulations! You just bought yourself 4 turns worth of no enemy MP. Assuming that your target doesn't have like MP gain skills or something. And at max level, your arts buff is going to be off in 2 more turns, which you can rectify with the Atlas Mystic Code if you want to, with the Eyes of Medjed skill. See how ridiculous this is getting, as if her 3rd Ascension art wasn't ridiculous enough already? MP spamming is the name of the game with War Turtle, which actually makes a lot of sense, seeing that the whole reason why she even became an archer in the first place was to win a fucking water gun tournament or some shit like that. So keep with the lore, and help her get everybody wet with her big sword that's shoved down a water gun barrel. That enough innuendos for you? Interestingly enough, she doesn't have to be the center focus of the team though, because she's got universal utility in the forms of party attack and defense buffs, sorta like a mini waiver. She can be a support DPS in case you want a solid archer who's also got a few buffs for your main DPS. Just know that if you are planning to use her in this way, you won't be using her to her fullest potential with her MP spamming and whatnot. A trickier way to run your own water Pokemon is to make her a crit archer instead, since more crits means that she'll gain her MPs even faster and do more damage on top of it. She doesn't have any crit buffs of her own minus her independent action passive, and she's got no star weight skills, so it'll definitely be a challenge, but it could pay off if executed well. Other than that, go ham with the MP spam, and I did not intend for that to rhyme. For team comps for Churro, if you're feeling lazy and unimaginative like me, Castertam, and Whiny Nerd are your go-tos for obvious reasons. Actually, would Archuria like churros? She would, right? But perhaps a more interesting choice that you might want to consider, while he's not out now, but he will very soon, is Gill. And I'm making this suggestion unironically, if I'm allowed to use that meme. The irony of putting Seiba and Zashu together on the same team aside, a surprising chunk of Gill's kit actually does synergize very well with Saber's. His Charisma and Sovereign of Magic Wand skills give her a second set of attack and arts buffs, which increases her damage and her MP gain, but more importantly, increases the chance that her MP's drain effect activates, if that's how it works, which I think it does, but cannot confirm. I'll have to leave it to you guys in chat who actually do play JPFGO to confirm that for me. If it doesn't, then, well, fuck. And also, Gill's MP not only adds another 20% defense buff to Squirty's own 20%, but also reduces the enemy's defense by another 20%, so you can chain Gill's and Seiba's MPs together so that Saber can get even more MP refund and do even more damage. It's as if Gill was custom made to supplement Saber, and he even got a summer costume this year in JP. Gill and Archuria ship confirmed? But anyways, Gill dick riding aside though, make sure to keep your own pet waterline well fed with good support, and she'll be sure to return the favor. I mean, just look at her final Ascension portrait. Because MP spam is what she's all about, give Blastoise CEs that further improve her MP gen, like Arts buff CEs like Formalcraft and Another Ending, or raw MP gen CEs like Divine Banquet. Crit CEs like Atumbra and Gudao are also viable if you want to try out the crit archer route with her, but star weight CEs like Seal Designation Enforcer are more important in this case over raw crit damage, since she'll be looking to spam her MP as her main source of damage instead anyway. Also consider Prisma Cosmos on Archuria, because if her arts buff isn't leveled all the way, or in certain team situations, quite frequently she'll be left at over 90% MP gauge, so having Prisma Cosmos give her the rest of that MP to fill up to 100, or even better, a limit broken one, is really nice. And of course, if you want to maximize the damage out of her MP spamming, Black Grail. Her Omax Bond CE is the Champion Cup, which increases party attack by 15% when she's got it equipped and is on the field. It's the exact same as her Max Bond CE that she has when she's a Saber, and it's a pretty good CE if you're running her more as a support DPS. Otherwise, just go with something else. Agent 007 is an arts meme whose favorite food is spam, and has great versatility as both a team DPS or support, or as a solo meme machine. And by far the most important lesson that she's taught FGO is that you too can become top tier in Fate Grand Order, as long as you're willing to whore yourself out to the player base as fan service for the summer events. Unless your name is Dante's, then in which case, not even fan service or Scotty can pull you up from the depths of the tier list. At least you can farm like a champ now, though. And that's all you need to know about Yuyuko's food eating contest rival. No tour pull this time, since I don't know when I'll be working on the next video in this series because of what our next two events that are coming up real soon are looking like. But in any case, go watch the video that I put out with this one on Summer Tamabe in the meantime, though. Thanks for watching, hope y'all are ready for the Prisma Illy event, which y'all better not miss, and until next time, deuces.